Welcome to InnerFlowShift, the podcast where science meets spirit, and perception meets profound truth. I'm your host, Nick Kalmwood, and together, we're about to embark on a journey to explore the very fabric of existence, unraveling the mysteries of matter, energy, and consciousness. Here on InnerFlowShift, we tackle into the big questions: what is reality? Is the physical world truly solid, or is it simply an illusion created by vibrating energy? Could everything we see, touch, and experience just be manifestations of a deeper, unseen truth? Whether you're a curious seeker, a scientific mind, or someone on a spiritual path, InnerFlowShift is your space to expand your perspective and explore the interconnectedness of all things. So, take a deep breath, open your mind, and get ready to shift your inner flow. Today we are looking at the concept of time. Does it really exist, or is it just a creation of our mind? We will explore this idea in depth, discussing its scientific, philosophical, and spiritual implications, followed by a story illustrating the concept. Once upon a time, in a peaceful valley surrounded by lush hills, there was a village known as Evergreen. The people of Evergreen lived simple yet content lives, tending to their crops, building homes, and sharing stories under the great oak tree at the heart of the village. What set Evergreen apart from any other place, however, was its unique relationship with time. The villagers had no concept of time as the outside world knew it. There were no clocks, no calendars, and no words like yesterday or tomorrow. They did not measure their lives by hours or minutes, but lived in complete harmony with the rhythms of nature. Their lives unfolded naturally. The sun rose, and they began their work. The sun set, and they rested. Joy came with laughter and community, and sorrow was simply embraced as part of the ebb and flow of life. In Evergreen, people did not worry about time. Travelers who came upon the village often left confused. They wondered, how can people live without time? One such traveler, a young philosopher named Thomas, decided to stay in Evergreen for a while, determined to discover the secret of the villagers' timeless way of life. Thomas first went to meet the village elder, a calm and wise woman named Martha, and asked her, "How do you live without time? How do you know when to plant your crops, or celebrate the seasons? How do you organize your lives without the structure of time?" Martha smiled gently and gestured to the crops growing nearby. "Look at the plants," she said. "Do they measure time? No, they grow when the conditions are right, when the rains come and when the sun shines. They follow the rhythm of the earth, not the ticking of a clock. Why would we, too, need to measure life in that way, or reflect on the past?" Thomas pressed, still unsure. Martha looked to the sky and pointed at the clouds drifting by. "Do the clouds worry about where they came from or where they are going? No. They simply float along with the wind. Just like the clouds, we live in the flow of the moment, free from the burden of time. We plant when it's time to plant, and we rest when it's time to rest, without a clock to tell us what to do." Thomas was intrigued by her response but did not fully understand. He decided to explore the village more to see if he could learn the true nature of this way of life. A few days later, Thomas encountered an elderly man named William, who was known for his craft of making intricate mechanical devices. William showed Thomas his prized possession, a small, ticking clock. "Why do you have this?" Thomas asked, confused. "I thought no one in Evergreen measured time." William chuckled. "Ah, this is for travelers like you, who believe that time is something that must be measured. But tell me, Thomas, what is a clock really measuring?" "Time, of course," Thomas said, puzzled. "No, not time," William corrected him. "A clock measures movement. The hands turn, the gears rotate, and we call that time. But those movements happen in the present moment. The past is just a memory, and the future is just an idea. They don't exist, except in our minds. What truly exists is this moment, now." Thomas was taken aback. He had never thought of time that way before. He realized that the very concept of time had always been something imposed on his mind. It was not something real, but something that humans had created to track the movements of the world. Determined to understand more, Thomas sought Martha once again. This time, she invited him to join her in a simple meditation beneath the great oak tree. "Close your eyes, Thomas," she instructed. "Let go of your thoughts about the past and future. Feel the presence of now." Thomas did as she asked. At first, his mind was flooded with thoughts of his journey, his plans for the future, and the questions he had yet to answer. But as he focused on his breath, the world around him seemed to quiet. He felt his thoughts start to slow, and slowly, a sense of stillness filled him. It was as though time itself had stopped. After a few moments, Thomas opened his eyes. He felt different, calm, peaceful, and free. "I felt something, but it's hard to explain," he said. It was like everything was happening all at once, but it wasn't bound by time. There was no past or future. Just now. Just being. Martha smiled knowingly. "Exactly, Thomas. The past is a collection of memories, and the future is a collection of possibilities. They only exist in your mind. In reality, the only thing that truly exists is now. Time is just a concept we've invented to organize the movements we experience." Thomas grew more and more accustomed to the villager's way of life. He began to see that living without the concept of time did not mean abandoning responsibilities or becoming careless. The villagers still tended to their fields, celebrated together, and worked hard. But they did so with a deep awareness that life unfolded in each moment, and that nothing needed to be rushed or controlled by the clock. One day, the villagers invited Thomas to their annual festival of stillness. It was a day of complete silence, where everyone gathered under the oak tree and sat together in deep peace. No one spoke a word, nor did anyone move. They simply rested in the presence of the present moment, honoring the stillness that underlies all life. As Thomas sat in the stillness, he felt a profound peace and joy he had never known before. He realized that this silence was not emptiness, but the very source of creation itself. In that stillness, all things arose, and all things would eventually return. Years later, Thomas left Evergreen to return to the outside world, where he knew his teachings could help others. He carried no clock, no calendar, only the timeless wisdom of the village. When people asked him about the concept of time, Thomas shared the simple truth: time does not exist as we think it does. It is a concept, a tool we use to measure movement. But life itself is timeless. The past is only a memory, and the future is only an idea. The only true moment is the present. He would tell them, the future will always remain a mystery, and the past will always remain a memory. But the present moment is always with you. When you live fully in the now, free from the constraints of time, you discover peace and freedom. And so, Thomas's message spread far and wide. People began to realize that they did not need to live by the ticking of a clock. By living in the present moment, they could free themselves from anxiety, fear, and regret. In the end, Thomas taught the world that time is not a separate thing, but a concept that arises from the mind. What exists is the timeless presence of now, in which everything arises and dissolves. By embracing the present moment fully, we reconnect with the infinite, timeless essence of being. So, the people of the world began to live more fully in the moment, discovering the peace and freedom that comes from knowing there is no time, but only the now. And in that understanding, they too found the timeless truth. Time and space are constructs of the waking mind, overlaying the continuous flow of existence. Beyond these constructs lies the eternal now, the unchanging reality where all movements arise and dissolve. By focusing on the I am and sinking into the silence of our being, we transcend the illusions of time and space, realizing our true essence as infinite and free. If you like this content, please subscribe and like. My name is Nick Kalmwood. We can bring more of these timeless truths.